Hello, it is such an honor to have you here with us at Prenatal Alliance, Nese Karabekir. Would you please introduce yourself to our viewers? And then I have some questions for you.
Oh, it's exciting, Laura. Thank you so much for this lovely invitation. My honor is for me to meet you here. And thank you for your time and thank you for your energy to be with me. So yes, it's true. Let's start to introduce myself first. I'll make it a little bit shorter, then we can expand it with your questions, of course. I'm originally a psychotherapist. I'm working with adults, individual therapy, and also in the group setting. I also establish as a co-founder of Istanbul Psychodrama Institute. So I am a psychodrama trainer and psychodrama therapist. And recently, this year is my 33 years in my profession. So I've been working since 1990. Yes. And this year I'm celebrating my 33rd year of my profession. But the last 13 years, we, Dr. Hakan Çoker, we established Istanbul Birth Academy. And then kind of intended and establish birth with no regret philosophy. Of course, we're going to talk later. Right now, I am working as an adult psychotherapist and also birth psychotherapist, which again, we will talk about details. And also I'm part of Birth with No Regret team. And of course, I'm working with different association, NGOs, which is one of is a Prenatal Alliance, which I'm honored to be part of it. And also I am president of Hand to Hand for Birth Association in Turkey, and also partner of Prenatal Science Partnership. And we will continue. This is a very summary.
It's fabulous. When did you know within yourself that great part of your life was going to be dealing with childbirth, its implications for the future adult, for the pregnant woman, for the family? How was it born in you?
That's a very nice question. Well, it started at 2009. Around 2008, I was a psychodrama trainer since 1996, and I was doing psychodrama with different settings. And then I decided to do psychodrama with pregnant women. In psychodrama, there are lots of reenactment and there are lots of role reversals. So I decided, why not to try with the pregnant woman to take the role of her baby, and then I can communicate with her baby through her.
It's brilliant, because there's creativity right there, and nobody needs to be right or wrong. It's what is in the moment, right? Tell us a little bit about this experience, because
that's correct.
These women who have you.
Thank you. That's correct what you are saying. Yeah. Well, in this country, in like our countries, the C-section and birth interventions are very high. So this is how it is. It is the reality. I didn't know before, I wasn't really concentrated about what is going on the childbirth, what is going on the babies. I wasn't there. I was working with adults and I was a trainer, simple. And then when I decided to work with the pregnant woman, then I realized, there's another world over there and it's boiling. This expression, it's really hard things and difficult things going on. I really didn't know about those.
This world needs you. Yes.
And then suddenly, if I say to myself, if I am going to work with the pregnant woman, then I need to learn the childbirth education and the birth itself from the scratch, from the beginning. Because I mean, here in this country, in Turkey, the doctors and the health professionals is like a boss. You know, every people worship them. So it means I have to learn everything, you know, from the beginning in order to be on the stage somehow.
Okay.
So I learned, like a childbirth education. I went through the Lamaze certification. I went to HypnoBirthing certification. I went to active birth certification.
What did you think of all these trainings? Were they a little bit obvious to you? Were they really interesting? Did you see some things were lacking in the birth psychology? How did you feel as a human being? Because you are graduated, you were born, so you know everything about birth. Just because you were born. How were you in these normal classes?
Well, it was like a different culture, first of all, and of course it was full of knowledge. But in the end of the day, I was gathering all the information from all over the world, as if, Laura, I am swallowing everything. You know, it was kind of a hunger. So I feel I need to learn everything to create something new for my culture, because nothing happens in the United States or in Europe or in different cultures didn't really fit in my reality. Because here there is a 56% of the C-section rate. And there is no really mother-baby friendly hospitals. So the doctors are kind of like, you know, dying. I mean, they don't want to work anymore, and they want to quit the jobs, and the midwives, and they don't exist. So, and then I enter this kind of a totally new world for me. And then, so it is like this. I have my tools like psychodrama, psychotherapy, and my new learnings from the childbirth education from different angles. And then I have my own country's realities and the culture and the religious and the belief system and the system itself, you know, the health system itself altogether. So I have decided I have to combine all this information together from into somewhere. So that time when I was doing psychodrama groups with pregnant women, Dr. Hakan Çoker found me. Well, if you ask him, I found him anyway. So it's it's a little bit tricky, but of course it was kind of a destiny, if you ask me. Then it was really, you know, matched together. He's an obstetrician, and maybe you will talk to him later. He's a little bit different obstetrician. Yeah. I mean, it means, you know, he's really taking care of women, the babies, and the psychology, prenatal psychology, prenatal science, you know, this kind of thing. So I was so surprised. Somebody else from health profession, obstetrician and doctor, is thinking the same way and looking the same route. So, you know, we matched together, and we decided to create something new together, which was later on called Birth with No Regret Team and the philosophy itself. And then, of course, then we...
about it? Can you tell us a little bit about Birth?
Of course. And then first, actually, we established Istanbul Birth Academy, which we teach parents to be, and also trainers, childbirth education trainers, and also doula, train doulas, and also train birth psychotherapists. So this is a kind of a professional training as well, and still continue. And we also would like to do this training internationally, and even in English. I don't know. I mean, if there is an interest, we would like to continue, you know, internationally as well. So this take us, okay, we need to work as a team together. Because, okay, in this system, there must be a doctor. Okay, we cannot take him out. We need a midwife, which is the very important. It's like a base. It is like in the center in our team. And then the birth psychologist. But what is the birth psychologist doing? The important thing is, you know, as a psychologist, as a psychotherapist, I work with the pregnant people, and also I work with, again, the woman and the parents after the labor, like a postnatal period. But what about during the labor?
Yeah.
I realize there is something missing in the labor room, in the hospital. You know, what is going on actually there? So slowly, when I search about it, I didn't find anybody, any of my colleagues, going into the delivery room or birthing room and to support the parents. So I started to work on it. And yeah, it was something really. It was I mean, for my understanding, also it was a huge courage. It was also huge renovation, kind of. I was always so you know, proud of my team, you know, and so thankful, grateful for the doctor, Dr. Hakan, and also for my midwife, Dr. Serpil. They actually opened the space for me to create the birth psychotherapist in action. I mean, in the labor room.
Wonderful. So you could be the voice of the baby or change position with the mother. You would do in the delivery room
as well.
Wow. And both the doctor and the midwife, they could also bring their soul to this event, right?
Absolutely.
Think one of your great qualities, your great feminine qualities. Yes, there's something very objective, this reality right here, but there's so much more happening. And this is
something, Laura. And this is actually what I am trying to explain everybody, that if you chose to be a doctor, midwife, nurse, or birth supporter in the labor, okay, this is a choice. Then this is a mission, and or this is a responsibility. You have to also take care of your own self, take care of your own traumas, and you have to work on it. Otherwise, I become a little bit tough, I must say. And I say, well, if you really don't work about your traumas, if you don't know how to look at it, and if you cannot be able to take your own issues outside the door, outside of the labor room, then choose another job, really. Well, you know, because I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tough, but because it's very precious moment, it's a very sacred moment, and it is a unique, it's only once for this baby and for this relationship. So if I like, as a doctor or midwife or nurse or birth supporter, if I enter this area, which is so precious and so intimate, you know, of their togetherness. So if I enter this area with my issues, with my beliefs, with my perceptions, with my traumas, what I don't have this right to destroy this birth and or, you know, to intervene this birth. So that's why I always teach doulas, birth psychologists, and doctors, nurses, midwives, just first to know yourself, to know your biases, to know your choices, know your traumas, know your own childbirth story, know your the relationship with your mother, the relationship with yourself, and the relationship with your body. And then, okay, then you have an access into this labor room.
Then you can contribute, you can be a helper, or at least somebody
Yeah.
who does not disturb, because that's the main thing, not to disturb the birth.
That's true. That's true. So, I mean, you can see, or maybe you can say, well, I'm talking about the intimacy, and then, oh, there's a lots of people in the team, like a doctor, like a midwife, like a birth psychologist. But the art is here, the birth psychologists start to work with the parents during the pregnancy. Okay. Slowly, every month, every week we do something, little things, and with the partner, husband or partner, whoever, and also I work with the grandmothers, especially from the mother side. So
Okay.
what happened to her,
Yeah.
and what is her story to give birth this mother? So what actually coming from her as a transgenerational issues. So, I work until until the labor. I also share this kind of information to my work team, to my doctor, to midwife. Slowly. I also sometimes talk to them, if there is any, they have also some issues, or they have also some communication problems together or with the pregnant couple. So actually, birth psychotherapist is preparing not only the mother, but the father, the grandmother, extended family, and the birth team together. And then now it's okay. Now it is like I am working more. Then slowly, in the end, the midwife comes to the stage. When the labor starts, the midwife is because the midwife, I mean, she's a health professional, and also she is trained as a doula. So she got different functions. So she's also giving psychological support and also medical support, and with lots of instruments like aromatherapy, homeopathy, like a massage, and different techniques she was using. And then during the hospital time, I am there also as a birth psychologist. So sometimes I'm taking care of the parents. Sometimes I'm outside taking care of the extended family. Sometimes I talk to the doctor, what is going on? How are you? How do you feel about this labor? Sometimes I get inside, do some relaxation, and also I work with these psychodramatic methods with the mother, sometimes with the father, and sometimes midwife get rest.
Yeah.
Or
Can you bring us a story that would come to mind where your presence with that intervention made the difference for that mother who was perhaps a little bit lost in herself?
Oh, lots of stories.
Yeah.
Of course, some of them are very touching. Some of them are very traumatized. Some of them seems very basic, but there's a lot of heaviness, a lot of burden, underneath. So actually, well, I can talk about a very small story, which was a very important, and also I learned from this so much. So the story was like that. We were in the labor, and it was the first labor in this lovely woman, and she was in the birthing pool, and she wanted to give a water birth. So, but before the labor, we did our sessions with the mother, with the father, and also I talked to the grandmother. I feel I did my job. And then during the labor, suddenly the labor stopped. But it was like a pause. It wasn't like plateau, because sometimes, when, physiologically, if the woman reach some point, the body and the hormones sometimes give her a pause, like a break time. But it wasn't like this. We were nearly close to the fully dilated place, but suddenly stopped. So we waited. Okay, we waited. And I talked to doctor, nothing happened, you know, there is no medical complications. Okay, we wait. And it was like, Laura, it was like night around, let's say, 11 p.m. or 11:30, something like this. So I was thinking, you know, we waited hours and hours, and it was a little bit weird. You know, I mean, you can wait, you know, for hours, because, you know, sometimes I waited for 4 days for one labor. It's okay. I mean, waiting is, you know, the part of the labor, but it was something strange thing what was happening. I was feeling also. And then I was trying to, you know, communicate with her, and she was telling me, poor woman, she told me, well, Nese, we work everything, you know, we work about my childbirth, we work about my relationship with my mother, you know, and I had an abortion, so we work with this abortion, I mean, with this baby, we say goodbyes. I don't know what's going on, really. I don't know what is going on.
It had been an abortion or a miscarriage?
Abortion. Yeah. And then, you know, I don't know what happened. I said, well, don't worry, you know, we can wait. It's okay. No. And then suddenly I said to myself, why am I focusing on the mother? Why am I missing the father? So I asked him, the father, to go out for a while, and then, you know, let's walk, let's have a coffee together, and let's talk a little bit. And then, you know, I mean, I was trying to have a nice chat with him, and I knew him, of course, before, and I said, you know, what do you think? What is going on? What is your feeling? You know, what do you feel? And what do you think? What is going on these days? Today, tomorrow? I mean, is there something special day today? I don't know. Sometimes because some anniversaries also,
Yes.
you know, is affecting the labor. And Laura, he said, well, and of course, you know, because we have been waiting so long and we didn't know about the date, but he said, what is the date today? What is the date tomorrow? And he suddenly remembered tomorrow, I mean, the following day is his father's death day.
So there was
unbelievable,
suffering.
Huh?
There was suffering there.
And we didn't know about the date, and the mother didn't know about the date, but of course, subconscious knew everything, and kind of stopping the labor somehow, not to go into the following day. And I have still, you know, goosebump here, unbelievable. And then and as soon as he said this, do you think it is the reason or something? I said, I don't know really, but this is something. This is very important to tell me. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for telling me. Let me try something. So I again enter the room, and I say, do you know the date, my love? And she said, no, I don't know. What is Thursday, Friday? No, it's okay. Don't worry. I'm just gonna, if you trust me, I don't really want her to remember, but I don't want to pronounce it. It is the death day or something like this. But I want to talk to her subconscious slowly. And I said, okay, if you trust me, I am going to tell you something, and then you just see how you feel, and you just see how your body reacts. Okay? And she said, okay. And then I said, close to your eyes, my love, and just think, this is your, and by the way, the baby is the boy. And the deceased person is the father. So the male, and the one male is going, and another male is coming. And then I said, well, your boy is coming. So this is different. And whatever is going to happen years ago is different. So this is your boy's birthday. And we are not going to mix with another event. So this is done. And we pray for your, father-in-law. And I mentioned this. And she said, oh my God, it happened tomorrow, the few years ago. And I said, okay, now we know. So we're gonna make a differentiation between this anniversary and with your boy's birthday. Okay. So please concentrate your own son's birthday. We're gonna celebrate this. But on the other hand, we're gonna say goodbye to him, and we pray for him. So let's make a total and sharp, differentiation. And these two lovely and important times of your day. So we're not going to mix everything together. This is different. This is different. And slowly, I mean, we pray and we give this honor also, to him. And then we say goodbye to him. And then we welcome the baby. And of course, you can guess the baby arrived before 12.
Wow. So it was,
of course,
almost instant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a different day.
It was a different day, and it was a miracle. And I really appreciate it.
Once we honor somebody who came before, things get into order. It's amazing. It's a matter of paying homage and honoring. And I understand this prayer. Bravo, baby, bravo, mommy, and bravo, Nese, because to be
it was a teamwork. It was a really teamwork, Laura, and I really learned. I really appreciate about this learning, and I thankful. I was very thankful to not only the baby and the mother and the father, and also to my birth team, because they got me a space to work on it. Otherwise, of course, they could have been get her out, and maybe induction, or maybe different medical interventions, or maybe the C-section. I mean, it doesn't matter about it, of course. I mean, if there is a medical conditions, of course, it happens, but it wasn't any medical conditions. So I was so happy, and so honored. They are just giving us space, and I did my work. It was a very small contribution, and the mother did the all work. Baby did another work, and the father also did another work. So it was an example.
I bet the father was very relieved to have been able to connect with his father before connecting with the son outside the womb.
Absolutely. And it was a water birth, so we didn't have to take her out. And the contractions came back slowly, because it was nearly in the end. And then later the baby arrived nicely, finally, and birth with no regret. So it is a little bit example. Maybe it gives you a little bit idea, but it is important. Not only working with the mothers, the fathers also very important role in the labor room, and also the other birth team, of course.
This is beautiful. And the idea of coming up with this title, birth with no regrets? It's because so many women told you, oh, had I known, or I regret. Because this is beautiful. You're kind of soothing so much pain just with that title.
Well, we thought about a lot, Laura, because the word of regret actually contains a little negative energy. Because I don't really want any negative energy, any negative feelings or thoughts in this field. But then again, if I look at my country's reality, I mean, I told you before I became a childbirth educator and a birth psychotherapist, I was doing psychotherapy with adults. And of course, I had worked with lots of women, not the pregnant woman. I mean, the woman gave birth years ago. But I was always hearing in my therapy session, you know, I mean, if I wish I have done this differently. I wish I have said differently. I wish I have changed the doctor. I wish I would have got my partner with me, or couldn't have partner with me. I wish I could have a childbirth education, or the water birth, or this or that. Or I mean, this was huge sentences actually. I mean, whenever I talked to somebody, there was always regret. And I was so surprised, because the point is, Laura, I didn't choose to become a mother. So actually, it wasn't really my area. I mean, I was not concentrated. I was like working with another field. I was training the psychotherapist as a psychodrama therapist. So I was in, I told you, I was in another world. But then I realized, come on, I don't have to be a mother in order to feel these babies, in order to feel the mothers, feel the fathers, and feel the field. And some people told me, well, I mean, we really appreciate what you are doing, but actually you haven't experienced it. So how come do you feel that way? How come do you work so hard?
But you were born. You were born. You're part of the human family. You have it in you. I mean, imagine if you have to have experienced every single birth, because I gave birth one way. Had I had 5 children, it would have been 5 different ways. So it's not because I gave birth once that I know. Some people who have never given birth know more than I do. So
that's true.
It's I think that men and women, we are here of our own right. We were born. We went from cell to baby. One cell to trillions that make a baby, gorgeous baby. So let's honor that learning that you had. And thank goodness you don't have to leave your baby at home in order to help other women.
That's correct. Otherwise, I don't know if I could have done all these studies, all done work actually. But I always say that our mutual thing for everybody, because we are all different, personalities, lives, and beliefs and everything. But as you said, lovely, we were all born.
Yeah. So that gives you the inner knowledge of what you want to convey.
Correct.
I find it so beautiful that you wanted to bring in this birth business no regret. Let life be. Let life dictate itself to you. Surrender. That's and then surrender happens, and that's it. It's that moment, and it's as sacred as other moments that you will have perhaps in other births.
That's true. And the regret, and you mentioned it was very beautiful. You asked this. Birth with no regret has got a very also deep meaning that, I mean, you can experience different births. It's not important how you give birth. I mean, the method is not important really. It could be vaginal birth, water birth, C-section, or different different birth interventions. Anything can happen. But the important thing is if whether you have a regret, one regret or not. Because then I realize if the parents or the woman especially own her own body, her own birthrights, and if she has a voice, and if she has choices, then whatever it happens, she says, well, my parent, and my child had this decision, not the doctor, not the system itself, not the midwife, or not my mother-in-law or somebody else, but we did it together. Yeah. So then whatever happens in the labor, it will not give her a depression or trauma or anything, actually. So with this philosophy, Laura, and with this birth team together, our depression rate during the postnatal time has been decreased a lot.
Wonderful.
Yes.
This is wonderful. Have you seen in your experience any kind of connection or correlation between how a baby was conceived and how a baby is birthed? Because we also talk about surrender when you have an orgasm, when you're conceiving, when you're making love. Do you feel that there is a fractal, a continuity?
Yeah, I feel, but it is just a feeling, and it is just using to practice. So I don't have any kind of evidence-based research.
We don't study that.
Or the stories. True. Yeah, how can we? But we can actually. Because we can interview, and if we do the follow-up studies, and if we also follow these people's birth stories, of course we can do some things. But I have this feeling, and of course during the sessions, psychotherapy sessions during the pregnancy, we can talk about those things. How this baby was conceived. Yes. How was your relationship? Yeah. How did you feel? When did you think I'm ready? Or was it a surprise maybe? And or was it like, I don't know how you call it, sometimes
a good surprise or a bad surprise. Some people say it was an accident. It's not a surprise.
It is true. It is true.
Because for a woman to conceive, a whole part of her said yes, more than 50%. Because the subconscious is a huge part of who we are. And becoming pregnant, it's something that we do with our whole being, not just with the mind. So
that's true. That's true. So my connection is actually not only the conceive time, but at the same time, it is starting even from before the conception.
Good.
And then how is she thinking? Which way was she thinking? And is she thinking alone, or they were all thinking together with the partner? And how are they really? And where are they really? Not only their psychological circumstances, but also how about their environmental circumstances and their conditions, and all about this. We were always talking about those things, and I am also very focused on during the pregnancy. Before and also during the pregnancy, what happened? Anything happened bad? Like, we just experienced a huge earthquake recently. And also, I know it happened to your country years ago, and, it's happening everywhere.
No, and then in Brazil, no, we had in Chile years ago.
Chile, yes.
Not in Brazil. We have no excuses. We have no tornadoes, no tsunamis, no earthquakes. It should be so much better. And we're still with a huge rate of C-sections, unnecessary C-sections. But I imagine that fear goes a long way into making a pregnancy difficult. Like they have done studies with the 9/11 when the Twin Towers fell,
Exactly.
when we're
Exactly.
pregnant. So there is this trauma, but it doesn't act the same way on every woman. Some women seem to just be at their best when they have something to do to help others. Others, they feel pure despondency.
That's true. So this kind of, I'm searching what happened to this woman, what happened to this man, and maybe there is some health stories, or like stressful stories in their families, and maybe in their job. I mean, sometimes it's not only supposed to be a very big trauma. Sometimes little things, little details actually affects, as you say, the people differently. But this one, of course, earthquake was huge, and we, our association also, Hand to Hand Birth Association also, we're trying to help pregnant women, and during the pregnancy and the postnatal time, breastfeeding time, especially on that area, earthquake area. So I am generally working about those stories. So imagine, Laura, during the pregnancy, I'm gathering all this information from the mother, from the father, from the family, from my team. So I'm actually getting all this information in my pocket.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not using all of them, but just in case, as I gave this information, this sample example to you a few minutes ago. So sometimes the labor stops. Sometimes the labor prolongs. Sometimes, I don't know, there is some misunderstandings between even the birth team together, because they're human beings. I mean, they were born. And I mean, sometimes, we think they are like God and Goddess, they know everything. But I mean, they are simple human beings who also got their own traumas.
And it affects them differently if it's a boy being born, a girl being born, a firstborn, a thirdborn. All that can bring an echo. So you work
if
with
there is miscarriages,
teams, or you have the same birthing team always when you work? How is it?
Well, I had the original team, which was by my dream team, I call them. But then, of course, I wanted to work with the other doctors and the other midwives to make them again the birth team together. So that's why it is very important. I don't know, maybe the first time, in our training, in Istanbul Birth Academy training, the obstetricians, nurses, midwives, doulas, non-health professional doulas, psychologists, physiotherapists, yoga trainers come together.
Good.
In the same training, in the same class, Laura. There is no hierarchy. There is no like, oh, you're here, you're experienced than me, you're a doctor, you're a midwife, something like this. And we teach them the same thing. So they know each other, and they feel each other, and they understand what the doctor has been experiencing, what the psychologist is doing, what is the midwife is doing. So that's, with this way, they are making their own teams together.
Beautiful.
Of course, our original team, we were trying to make a sample for them, like an example. And because we were trying to tell them it is working. It is really working. So please take an example and do whatever you want. It could be like a doctor, midwife, psychologist together. It could be like a doctor, midwife, doula together. I mean, it could be like a two doulas together, two midwives together. But the point is, it needs to be a teamwork together. If in this birth field, if you are alone, then you finished. for the professional. But what I see, you're talking about your C-section rate, and I also talk about our C-section rate, which is like we are competing each other. I don't know.
I think we come before Turkey, but that's a
But
pity.
yeah, but my understanding, for instance, everybody is trying. Our health minister also trying, to decrease it. So
Good.
our understanding is, well, you have to change the system, my dear.
Yeah.
I mean, if you continue like this, you're gonna work. Are you gonna put lots of work to doctors and to blame the doctors all the time? It doesn't work. So if you put the midwives down,
Yeah.
and if you make a hierarchy, the doctors are here, the midwives are here, it doesn't work. So if you cannot take the birth supporters inside,
Yeah.
and to help the midwives, it doesn't work. And if you don't train the parents, and if you don't make them to understand, this is not my labor, this baby, this lovely baby's labor, it doesn't work. So it is, but we need to work together. This is my understanding.
That's for sure. I was thinking of this documentary, Birth Reborn, that is in Netflix and subtitles in English. It's a Brazilian cry, scream against the unnecessary C-section. I'm in it a little bit for 2 minutes. Michel Audin is in it, but we see many, many, many cases of birth and labors who were stolen. And once in a while, of course, a good case. And there is birth activism for exactly that. Let's be together. We have a big hospital in.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And then lastly, maybe, I am also part of ICI with Hakan Çoker.
This is
International, it's an international childbirth initiative. I'm sure you heard about them. They are doing a very nice job. And actually, they are trying to make a mother-baby friendly hospitals in different countries as a sample. So there is one in Istanbul city. And yes, and we have been trained them for nearly 4 years now. It is Taksim Acıbadem Hospital. So we are also part of it. This is also important, of course, because, it needs to be a kind of, especially in private hospitals, you have to train them as an example for other private hospitals.
Sure.
Because it is, for my understanding, I don't know when it's going to happen, Laura, but the birth needs to be free. And the birthing people don't need to think about, oh, how much I am going to collect, how much I'm going to give the hospital, how much I'm going to the doctor, and do I have to pay for the doula? Do I have to pay for the birth psychologist?
It's complicated.
It's a lot of stress. But then if we create this kind of system together, again, it's a together, then it may work. I don't know if I am going to see it, but I at least I hope it.
I love it, because I also see how stressful it is for the doctors. A doctor can do 5 C-sections a day, and then he has a son at the university in England. He's earning lots of money with those C-sections. Hello? But the baby's being born with unnecessary C-sections. How do we, because I think everybody needs to have a child doing the studies he or she wants, but not at the cost of a system that will cut women's bodies.
Yes. And if we also, it's a lots of different angles we have to think. As a birth supporters, as a birth activist, really we have to come together and think about also, it's not blaming. It is not only one person needs to blame or one profession needs to blame, but we need to think about our future. Some people, Laura, told me, oh, are you are you little exaggerating? I mean, you go to details, you think about all the birth teams together, you think about even the grandfathers, grandmothers, the uncles, and you're trying to, to talk about the baby, you little bit like honky ponky. And then I say, I think I am not doing enough. I don't think I'm not doing enough.
I understand you. I understand you because I know that the baby coming expects the parents to be able to make it right. So us as a society, all of us, need to protect that universe of birth, the amniotic universe and the one of birth, because it will change the way the child looks at the mother, changes the way the mother looks at herself 5 years from now, 15 years from now, because that birthing imprint is so strong for all the epigenetics, for all the reasons, psychological, spiritual ones. When we neglect birth, we're interfering with the relationship of these two mother-child, or these three father, mother, child, for a long time, and it's subconscious. So I rejoice to know that you're bringing harmony there, so that life can flow, can deliver its message, and a baby is born with respect. It's huge to have a good beginning. Huge.
That's true. Well, I hope it's going to be increased, and I hope the insight is going to be increased. We still keep going on giving the childbirth education for parents every month, Laura.
Wow.
And today this is the July's first class is going to start tonight even. So every month we are going to give the childbirth education for parents online. And also once a year, we are opening a trainers training. And it is starting, the autumn time until March. So, and also teaching the staff in the hospitals, and also lots of connections like you with different colleagues and the lovely people around the world. I mean, this is what I think. We need to be we need to be united. We need to work together. I think this is the only way we get out of this kind of system. I mean, the system, of course, we created. Of course, this is our creation.
Yes, but you have discernment and you bring me joy. I admire your work because you take on the responsibility, but that doesn't bring down your enthusiasm. And this is beautiful. I thank you so much. It is now our time. Now we have to go. Perhaps you want to say some last words, but I'm very thankful
for
your presence here.
Thank you, Laura. I am also very honored to be with you, and I miss you so much. And I just want to say, and thank you for the Prenatal Alliance. They are also a very nice group, which I am very proud of in it. And thank you for everybody who is listening us right now. And I wish not only birth with no regret, but life with no regret.
Wonderful. Oh, I love it. Nese, thank you very much. All the best to you. Have a great opening.
Thank you.
Class this evening, and much inspiration to you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye, Laura.